Welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast, the ultimate blueprint to self-love and inner peace. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach, meditation teacher, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution. If you've ever felt like your emotions were working against you, or you've struggled with anger, fear, sadness, stress, this conversation is for you. Because we're talking about something that many do not have an awareness of, which is emotional transmutation. It is the art of moving, transforming your feelings into something else. We're going to break down exactly what it is, how to use it, and how to use your emotions for your greatest well-being, creativity, and success. We're going to learn how to shift the energy into something much more positive that serves you rather than holds you back. So let's not waste another second. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. Okay. Is your seatbelt on? Are you ready to go deeper in our conversation about emotions, about processing, about being able to use your emotions for what they are, which is impulses, energy that helps you be constructive, productive, to be able to move your life into a form that works best for you. This is a conversation that many people are not aware of, this art of emotional transmutation. It's something that is rooted both in psychology and metaphysical practices, but at its core, the principle is the same. Emotions, whether positive or negative, are simply energy in motion. The key to learning how to redirect your energy, your emotional energy, in a way that best serves you is understanding what emotional transmutation really is. It became very apparent to me this week that most people don't know what this is, and for good reason, right? Why would you? When I put up an original quote that I wrote on Instagram, and there was some pushback, right? And so I'm going to read what I wrote, and then we're going to break it down, because mastering how to harness the power of your energy gives you a very straightforward ability to grow. So what I wrote was, there is energy behind every emotion. It's the energy you use to create. It has a name, emotional transmutation, the art of moving, transforming a feeling into something else. For some, they move their fear into turmoil and doubt. Others use it to feel beauty, creating a circle of support, music, building a business, artwork, something that benefits in the most profound and moving way. Transmutation is a place of choice. The way you feel and then express those emotions speaks volumes of who you are at your core. Not to say a mistake makes you a terrible person, quite the contrary. It shows you are in a stage of learning. But you see, no matter the stage, you have the power of creation. Your anger can make you powerful or small. It's a choice. Your anxiety can rock you off balance, or it can have you painting a new canvas. Apathy can burn you out or create a pivot. Joy can define you or have you pushing negatively to consume and grasp for more. Let your emotions speak, and then create a world of magic and wonder instead of self-doubt, hate, and despair. Transmutation. It's the magic of your choices. And I will tell you, my DMs were filled with, wait, this doesn't feel right to me, because you're saying if I don't move my emotions in a healthy way, I'm not making healthy choices for myself. No, not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you have the power to make choices in hard emotional moments. Again, the key to learning how to redirect your emotions is the key that can change everything for you. Let me give you an example. If you're feeling angry or you're frustrated, emotional transmutation would involve taking the raw, intense emotions and channeling it into something that helps you move forward, such as sitting in your emotions or doing something that is, a goal for you, taking that motivation, that negative, and turning it into something that's not suppressing or ignoring the emotion, but instead utilizing it to create impact and transformation for you, or impact and check something off the list that makes you feel like you've accomplished something. This is something that's so important, that anytime we come to terms with the fact that our emotions are difficult, right? They're hard to understand unless you've done the work, which is to take the emotional list, the 22 emotions, and break them down with your personal definition. We're kind of out there throwing our hands up in the world, feeling, going through the process of all the heavy and not knowing what to really do with it. We're not taking control. So simply put, emotional transmutation is the process of shifting all of that heavy into something constructive. If you feel anger, fear, frustration, instead of letting it control you and lead you into harmful thinking and behaviors, you move it into something that works. Now, when I've talked about this with other people, they often say, that's fantastic. Freaking possible. And that's not true, right? It sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Well, let's break that down. Let's go through it. Because as I said just a few minutes ago, emotions themselves are not inherently good or bad, simply energy in motion. It's waiting to be expressed. The trick is how we channel that energy. The idea behind transmutation is that you can direct that emotional energy into something healthy. To understand how this works, it's helpful to think of your emotions as a form of energy. Let me give you the scientific definition of emotions. That may help you. And that is, emotions are psychological responses to external and internal stimuli, but they also create a psychological and emotional change in the body. When you experience an intense emotion like anger, sadness, or fear, your body literally goes through a chemical response. It releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, your stress hormones. And these chemicals fuel your emotional state. And if you leave those unchecked, you can imagine what is going to happen. You're going to find yourself reacting, often in really negative behavior. However, if you learn how to redirect your energy, you can use it constructively. Think of it like this. If you're holding a hammer, you can either use it to build something or you can use it to break something. The hammer itself does not change what's going to occur. Your intention does. What you do with it is what changes the moment. In the moment that you're using emotional transmutation, your emotional energy is the hammer, and you are the one who's deciding whether you're going to build something or destroy something. Does that make sense? I hope that example helps bring all of this together. So let's get to the practical steps of understanding that we can transform any emotion to use it as a source of power rather than letting something control you. The first step, other than getting to know your emotions, to be able to use this practice with your emotions, to use them as a tool for positive change, is awareness. We talk about awareness all the time. The first step in transmuting your emotions is to become aware of them, right? You have the definition, and that thought may sound simple, but in a fast-paced world full of distractions and your to-do list and all the things, many of us are so quick to push our emotions down, bypass them, avoid them completely. Maybe you feel frustrated, but immediately distract yourself with social media when something comes up, or you feel the sadness and you push through it with doing work or the next thing on the list. But when you become emotionally aware, you have to take the step to transform what you're feeling. So let's talk about a quick exercise that you can begin to use in the times when you're not feeling emotional, so that when you get into emotional places, you're able to transmute it. I want you to pause for a moment right now and just check in. Where am I? What emotion am I experiencing right now? Remember that neutrality is an emotion. So maybe you're not feeling anything good nor bad. You're just kind of here. Ladies, when your significant other has been driving and they're very silent and you're like, what are you thinking about? And they're like, seriously, nothing. And you're like, how is that possible? That's neutrality, right? And many women struggle with neutrality, but it is available to you. And it's actually a very beautiful thing. So if you're not really feeling a whole lot, try to get into neutrality. That's okay too. And think about, what am I experiencing right now? And if I do have an emotion that comes up, where do I feel that? A lot of people struggle with that element of like, where do I feel this? Well, what I mean by that is, do you feel tight in your shoulders? Do you have a tension headache? Do you find yourself wringing your hands? And so maybe you find it and feel it in your hands. Where do you feel this emotional rise happening within your body? What is coming up for you? Then take a few breaths and allow yourself to really feel whatever is coming up rather than avoiding or suppressing it or sort of witnessing it. Oh, I feel okay. And then moving past it. Because once you're aware of the emotion, the next step is to understand its source. Back to that question. Where is this coming from? Is this triggered by a certain event or person? Is it deeper, an underlying feeling that's been building up for some time? Is it stress, right? Understanding the root of your emotion is essential in the change process when we're in that transmutation process. You can't move something into something else if you don't understand it. So we're taking that moment, checking in. What am I feeling? Where do I feel it? Where is it coming from? And then once you acknowledge and understand the emotion, which may take some time to get to, you then are able to take the next step, which is to redirect that energy. And that's when the transmutation happens. Let's take a little bit of a step back for just a second, because I want to get a little bit deeper in that first step where we're acknowledging and validating the emotion. So when I say you have to acknowledge the emotion, I want you to do so without judgment. Meaning, I don't need to be like, well, I don't want to feel that, or you shouldn't feel that way, or this is stupid, whatever the judgment is. It's important to allow yourself to feel, right? Remember, emotions are natural. It's a healthy response to whatever's happening around you. Feeling angry or sadness or fear does not make you wrong or weak. I'm going to say that again. Feeling anger, sadness, or fear does not make you weak or wrong. It means you are human. Validate that emotion. I'm okay feeling angry right now. I feel angry right now. This is a valid response to this moment. This is telling me something. Get into the validation of that expression, of that emotion. I am okay. This is fine. I'm okay in this space. When we acknowledge, when we validate, we give ourselves that moment of deep residence, meaning I am safe in this situation. I am safe in this moment. I am okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be lonely. It's okay to be anything on my emotional scale, as long as I witness it and know why. Why is this here? And then let's talk about the perception and the perspective that we give ourselves. When we acknowledge our emotions, the next thing that we can do is to reframe the situation. I asked you, where did this come from? What is this telling me? If I'm looking for evidence, if I'm seeking understanding, I'm allowing myself to work through that moment. If I avoid or suppress, I'm not able to get to that understanding. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know where I'm feeling it. But if I am acknowledging, I can say, what can I learn from this? Maybe your anger is telling you that you feel disrespected or that your boundaries have been crossed. Maybe you are in a space where you need to understand that you don't care for the way that somebody's showing up, or a belief is being hit, right? Or let's say you feel powerless if you're angry. Perhaps you're feeling anxiety in the moment. It's telling you that life is off kilter. There's something out of balance. If I'm feeling fear, I need to know that there's something that I actually care about, or there's uncertainty. If I'm feeling apathy, I'm learning that I've overextended myself and that I'm probably feeling burnt out. My emotions are raw and I'm on edge. If I'm feeling anything, they're not random. It's a messenger. Once I come to this understanding, once I have this perspective locked in, keyed in, I can begin to see the emotion as a signal rather than an obstacle. I can see it as something that can be moved, transformed, and used to my greatest benefit. And this is where we actually bring the energy into action, right? So it's kind of step 3. And it's kind of the fun part, to be honest with you. When you are kind of channeling this energy and bringing it forth, turning it into something, you can actually feel a change. So if you're frustrated, maybe it's an opportunity to take a break. If you feel your heart racing, you have anxiety, and the emotion behind it is the sense of failure, and you engage in physical activity like running or doing yoga, what you're doing is releasing that energy to help clear the mind. One of my favorite things to do is to allow my feet to slap the pavement, right? If I need to get out of dysregulation, you will find me lacing up my tennis shoes. If I want to slow down, get into calm, you'll find me on my yoga mat. What is it that you need? What helps you move that energy, helps you channel it into action? If you're feeling anxious or fearful, you might move that into creative work or a project that you've been putting off. Fear often signals that you're about to take a risk or a step so far out of your comfort zone. So try to put some energy into fueling the next step, right? Instead of fighting against it, I don't want to do this, I'm scared to do this, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. Put the energy in action and say, you know what? I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to give this a try. I'm willing to transmute these feelings into a reframe. Once you create space between yourself and the emotion, you begin that reframe, right? The goal, again, not to deny, but instead put into action. If you channel your energy into something constructive, you give yourself the energy of change. If you use your frustration, your upset, the annoyance, whatever it is, in a pause, in a creation, doesn't that feel so much better, so much more sustainable than sitting in the I don't know how, I don't like this? It really, truly is. And from there, we create the emotional release. Sometimes emotions can be overwhelming. That's not something I really have to tell you. You know it, you've experienced it. But you have to find a safe outlet to release them. I just said you have to have a safe outlet to release them. Blowing up, losing your damn mind is not a safe outlet for release, okay? It makes you feel better for a hot second when the hot emotion is gone. But then after, you have to deal with the impact of what you said and how you made others feel and how you feel Maybe there's guilt, blame, shame that's now attached to it. And that emotion range was not there to begin with. And here it is. So instead, find something healthy. Again, I'm tying my shoelaces to hit the ground. What are you doing? What do you need? Maybe you're journaling your feelings. Maybe you're talking to a trusted friend. Maybe you're painting or listening to music. Maybe you're crying. What is your outlet that allows you to process and express your emotions in a creative, even raw way that allows you to either get back to neutral or into something beautiful? It's sometimes hard to bring your negative to a positive, and that's okay. Again, your brain's not going to jump from negative to positive. What it's going to do is ask you to get to neutrality first before getting into that space of deep release. When we get there, we have something else to do. And it is step 5, really, but it is to practice self-compassion. Self-compassion is something so many of us struggle with. We don't do it easily. We don't think that we deserve it. We struggle against it, and yet we must have it. Once you've transmuted that emotional energy, you have to reflect on the experience. What did I learn from this? Did I do my best? Did I handle the emotion in a way that feels satisfactory to me? If this emotion were to come up again, or the same situation were to come up again, would I handle it the same way this next time? Can I lock in some key feelings and even some thought processes that allows me to be okay the next time this shows up? When you're working in your emotional state, I didn't say through it, but working in it, you have to allow compassion to be a part of the conversation. Emotional transmutation isn't about denying your feelings or pushing them away. It's about honoring them. And when you honor them, you also have to honor the person feeling them. That's you, right? So when you're feeling an intense emotion, be kind. Tell yourself it is okay to feel this way. I'm doing the best that I can. This is a part of my process. It is okay to be where you are. All things are just fine right now. You must allow. You must be okay with where you are when you are there. It's really that simple. Your emotions can be big. They can take over. They can own you, or you can own them. Emotional transmutation is such a powerful tool because it empowers you to transform this energy of your emotions into something else. By acknowledging, understanding, redirecting, you can use this as fuel for growth, for your personal development. Again, not about suppressing. It's not avoiding. It's learning how to work and channel all of this energy for your highest and greatest good. Another thing to point out, another thing to remember, emotions are signals and signals never last forever. So your emotions are not permanent. They do not have to define you. And when you learn to master emotional transmutation, you unlock the ability to live more consciously, with more control over your reactions, over your feelings, and your ability to create a better outcome in your life. So the next time you feel an intense emotion, ask yourself, how can I transform this energy? What can I do with this emotion? I want to give you 3 pretty quick examples so that you can harness this in its fullest extent and begin to practice it. Let's talk about anger. I want you to imagine a heated conversation in your head. Instead of acting out of anger or defensiveness, I want you to take a breath, acknowledge the anger that's there, and then channel that energy into asserting your position calmly and confidently. Take control. And use the intensity of that anger as the way to fuel the communication to be more powerful, to be more aligned, and to be within your full empowerment. That's an easy one to do. Then think about sadness. If you're feeling sad after a personal loss or something that hasn't worked out for you, or something that you had an expectation and it just didn't work out, here you might redirect that sadness into a creative expression. So in your mind's eye, see yourself writing or painting or composing music or dancing, whatever it is. Allow yourself to process and honor that sadness while moving it into something that's going to hold some personal meaning for you. See that in your head. Let the pictures play out and create. The last one is fear. Fear can be so paralyzing. Yet, if it is transmuted, it can be a motivator. If you're fearful about taking a risk or stepping out of your comfort zone, see that thing that is causing the fear and see yourself working through the steps cautiously and with empowerment and with question and wild curiosity. But see the fear, see yourself doing the thing, and watch yourself come to a better conclusion. Get yourself in there, do it, know that you have the ability to. That's what emotional transmutation can do. It's about recognizing your power and learning to redirect your energy. When you do that, you have the power to transform any emotion that comes into your awareness and ultimately create a healthier, more resilient life with balanced emotions that allows you to feel fulfilled. And doing so is the ultimate step into getting your life together. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you've enjoyed these tips for bettering your life, please follow me on social media if you're not already at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, TikTok, Clapper, Facebook, Threads, Pinterest, and also on Insight Timer. Join me on Insight Timer every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central for live conversations, including Q&A. Find my teacher's profile under Danielle A. Van there on Insight Timer, and you will be alerted each week when we go live to have conversations just like this one, but you can ask questions in real time. If you want more and you haven't visited my website, go to www.getyourlifetogethergirl.com where you can book a one-on-one session with me, read the blog, see the merch store, find books, and so much more, and courses as well. I look forward to interacting with you, and I, of course, cannot thank you enough for being such a valuable part of this beautiful and building community. Until we meet again, be kind to yourself and others.